Good evening. It is Monday, August 12th, 2024, and thank you for joining the Attaining Your Personal Best show with your host, myself, Nat Williams. Uh, wanted one second. Wanted to get started as we customarily do, talking about a winning strategy and getting people to become familiar with it. So tonight we're going to talk about what we call trying to manage the things that may trigger us and recognizing what they may be and hopefully giving you a template to have a conversation with yourself and others about the things that often help you to not be the very best that you want to be. So we call that these moments that are very difficult for us to often deal with we call them until moments. Often, as you can see from the winning strategy that's on the screen, that it involves a struggle, feeling a sense of frustration, threatened, ignored, attacked, disrespected, unwanted, feeling a sense of being invalidated, that until that moment happens, we often don't see the kinds of behaviors that we're not always proud of after the fact. And what it really requires us to do is, so that we can avoid those until moments, is to be intentional and to recognize that we need to always be as focused and on script and paying attention to the things that are important to us, because it may have taken us 30 years, 30 months, 30 days to achieve it, but it's going to take about 3 seconds to destroy it. And so it's important for us to recognize that intentionality and that focus and that commitment, it's a 24/7, 365 job. There is no downtime. I wish I could share with you that there was, but there's no vacation from attempting to be successful. It's a full-time job with mandatory overtime. And no one else that's going to cover that shift for you. It's your life. It's the work that you have to do. But again, often if we're able to prepare ourselves for those moments, we know they're coming. We know we're going to feel threatened. We're going to feel minimized. We're going to feel disrespected. And that'll happen while you're walking. It'll happen while you're driving. It'll happen at home. It'll happen at work. It'll happen at school. It's going to happen. But if we can anticipate it and often take the time to rehearse what that response is going to be, it's going to make the world of difference, so that we're not surprised by it. We have a plan, and I've always try to remind people, either you have a plan or you'll always be working for someone that does. And we always are working for somebody else and something that's larger than us. But lots of times when we get ourselves in these circumstances, in these until moments, we're working for a person, place, or thing that does not want the best for us. So it's so very important that we recognize that and we try our very best to be intentional. And there are some things that we've developed over time. There's a thing we have called the Navigator's Pledge. So there's the 3 Ps, we have the 4 Ms, we have the 8 life domains, and we have the 5 closest friends. So over time, we'll continue to keep talking about some of those tools that help us to stay intentional. But it's very, very important that we recognize that we can, we must, and we will be able to do that. And if we're going to enjoy the success that we're looking for. So I hope that winning strategy is something that's helpful to you. And that you take a screenshot of that and use it to your benefit going forth. And again, it's so important that we have it in our arsenal. We know it's there. We use it because often that's the challenge is we don't open the book, we don't open the opportunity, we don't share our knowledge, and often it's to our detriment. So without further ado, we're going to move on. We have a terrific guest this evening, Mr. Lou, and I'm going to add him to the stage. So there is Mr. Lou, who is the CEO of Lou's Detailing Services, one of my friends and former colleague. I guess she's still a colleague. Maybe not. I have to think about that, but we'll say she's my colleague tonight. Nitsa has been a customer, and I think calls herself now a friend of Mr. Lou. And so she put us into contact, she does with lots of our guests for the show, to talk about what he's doing and how he's attaining his personal best and his business best. So Lou, why don't you just tell us a little about who you are, in addition to being the CEO of Lou's Detailing Services, and then tell us more about the business that you have in detailing. But welcome, Lou.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first off, I want to thank you for having me on the show.
Sure.
Nitsa, great person. Know who she is. I see her as a friend, not just as a customer. I actually see a lot of my customers as friends. And I kind of focus on that with my business. A lot of customer satisfaction. Having relationships with customers. We kind of get on a little personal note sometimes. Being that I'm in their personal space once in a while, in their cars, sometimes in their home, pressure washing their houses and stuff like that. But to start off, I mean, I am a mobile car detailer. My business is based out in Allentown, the Allentown area. I bring top quality car care to customers. I specialize in a lot of full range you know detailing services. From like exterior washes to ceramic coatings. Paint protections on vehicles, um, rust inhibitors. Things of that nature. Um,
Lou, one question I want to ask is I saw a friend of mine this morning that has a little bit of an older car, and the headlights were somewhat tinged and have a like a beige look to it. What have you found is helpful when it comes to that? Because I can't imagine that, especially on a foggy night, that's not the best kind of what. Sorry.
Not First off, that's not good. That's usually condensation on the headlights. Gets on there from rain, sitting in any kind of sap sitting on it. It's definitely a safety issue. You can't get a car inspected without having your headlights clear enough, because that does cut visibility
Wow.
to your driving. So I mean, what we usually do, we wet sand the headlights. We have a special liquid that we put on the headlights, kind of compounded into the headlights, and brings a shine back to it. Also gives it a clear coat protection on it. And yeah, we do a lot of headlights. Does take a little bit of time. Being that we use it's called the liquid acid that goes on the headlights itself, which doesn't damage the glass or even the plastic of it. And then we buff it in, buff a compound that goes on it, a sealer that goes on top of that. And yeah, that's we also do that.
I'm glad I spoke to you, because I was ready to go out with some comment and some Ajax, and just think that that probably wouldn't have.
That wouldn't help it too much. Probably need a brand new headlight at that point.
Oh my lord! I'm keeping somebody in business. Wow, but there's something that can be done. But driving around with it and thinking that it's
thinking
okay.
that it's not. The state requires you to have your headlights as clear as possible. 50% doesn't work. According to the state, I believe it's 85 to 87% clear on your headlights.
That's good to know.
I get a lot of those, especially I get customers down in like the Pocono area where it really snows and really they get heavy rain down there, a lot of condensation. So customers of headlight restorations are down there. A lot of people with classic cars as well, cars from like the 70s, cars from the 60s. headlights are not good. They get bad within time.
Wow. So tell us about your business. How long have you been in business? And I think you mentioned some of the services, which it sounds like a very wide range of services. But tell us about the history of your detailing service.
Well, the history on my service, thank God, I've been in business now for going on 5 years.
Mm.
Pre-pandemic, just right before coronavirus hit, the pandemic hit, I had just started my business. I wanted to venture out into something on my own. I've been doing detailing for 15 plus years.
Mm.
And I wanted to venture out on my own, see if I can see what kind of foundation I could have laid out. And as soon as pandemic hit, people wanted to stay home. Nobody was going outside. I I decided to do my mobile detailing because that's what I was doing. And people just started calling me up, come to my house, do this for me. Hey, could you come to my house? Detail my son's car. Come to my house, detail my wife's car. So I've been in business for a good 5 years. I've been going strong. Thank God. Uh, I keep God in my thoughts.
Mm.
Always keep God first, and that's been the forefront of my business.
So what made you decide to do this? I mean, it's a risk when you're working. Yeah, when you're working for yourself. But what was the impetus? What made it gave you the urge to want to do this?
Definitely was a risk. I was working at a dealership. I was working for a guy. I would notice I was cutting out a lot of bills, making a lot of invoices for him. And I was like, man, I'm making this guy pretty rich. And this guy was already kind of rich. This guy, generational family, already had money. So I said, you know what? Let me try to do this on my own. Let me get my own fan base, basically my own customer base,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of went door to door, if you want to say, I started going to friends of mine, family members of mine. Let me clean your car. Let me do this. And by the grace of God, I got a lot of support. Got a lot of support from a lot of good people.
Mm.
And thus far, I picked up a couple of contracts. With some fleet vehicles. A lot of.
Wow.
I also picked up some contracts with dealerships. I
Mm.
do dealerships on the Auto Mile, Lehigh Auto Mile.
Wow. Wow.
Do a lot of dealerships. I end up doing about 1,000 cars a week. Just
Wow.
walk out on the lot and just making my own money that way.
Wow. That's a
Uh,
lot.
yeah, and I kind of not branched off, but I also started pressure washing houses, gutters, sidings, driveways, garages. Anything that has to do with pressure washing, you name it, I'm there with the water.
Yeah. So we need to figure out what's this affinity you have with water. What is there? Is there a story that?
I just love being clean. I love things to be
Oh,
very OCD when it comes down to like having, clean stuff. Just
mm,
my car is gotta be top notch. You know, my house has to be mopped. My floors gotta be clean. I'm just very OCD with a lot of things.
wow.
So I'm also a car guy. I love cars.
Mm,
I'm a car guy. I love cars. I been a car guy since a kid. My father was a car guy. He was always a Chevy guy, always in some kind of shop, some kind of raceway. So I kind
wow.
of picked up on that, and sometimes you gotta get in where you fit in.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
I found comfortability where I'm at. I like what I'm doing.
Mm.
So it just kind of works hand in hand.
And do you have employees that are working with you?
Right now I actually got my two kids, my two boys.
Wow.
I have two sons. I have a 22-year-old who graduates East Stroudsburg University this semester.
That's wonderful. That's good.
Thank you. And my younger son, who's 20 years old, he also works for me as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So I'm just trying to set a foundation for them, trying to keep them busy, and just keep moving my business as forward as I can. You know what I mean?
So what do you see for your future? What do you have on the horizon?
Well, right now I'm just trying to move forward, just trying to keep my business going. I'm not trying to bite off as more than what I can chew at the moment. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Mm.
kind of comfortable where I'm at. But my goal is definitely for my kids to kind of make it a little more bigger than what it is now.
One of our viewers says maybe you should franchise Lou's detailing service in other parts of the country, if not the world. So maybe as your sons get a little bit older, they'll branch out and
hopefully, because one definitely graduating college this year, and he needs to kind of figure out a marketing scheme or get somewhere.
Sure.
We can start hiring some people and kind of change other people's lives as well.
Sure.
Because I love to give back. That's I like to do. I like to give back. I like to help out as much as I can help out.
Mm. And so, one of the things I'll need to talk to you about is my day job is running group homes for children in foster care. And a lot of them always talk about wanting to work with their hands and wanting to do something. I realize in working with most of them, I can get about a good 2 hours out of them. I'm not going to get 8 hours. So I want to caution you that
you gotta break them in. You gotta break them in.
But I maybe that's something for them to comment, not just to work, maybe to watch and to see what firsthand what it takes to run a business and all that's involved. So we'll definitely make that connection. So I'm sure you have a lot to share with them and to offer them and give them some ideas about the future. And one of the things that Nitsa shared with me is that as a customer of yours and now as a friend, you've always treated her well. And she said that, she had a issue with water going into her basement because her gutters were not working effectively. And you came and you took care of that. I know as an organization, we've used you a couple of times to detail some of our vehicles. And I think there was one vehicle recently that had a kid that threw up in the vehicle. And I just, Jesus Christ. So you're a better man. You're a better man than me. So God bless you.
I love that stuff. I mean, again, I'm one of those that you kind of give me a pile of dump and I try to make, the best looking dump out of it.
Wow.
Who I am. It's what I try to do. You know what I mean? I enjoy it,
Good. So we'll definitely continue to use your services because you do an outstanding job. And I think, again, and you're conversing this evening, I think you've given some people some ideas about what they could do to attain their personal best, their business best. And so I thank you for sharing that. Anything you want to share in part before we get ready to wrap up for tonight?
I mean, for whoever is listening, whoever, wants to start their own business, wants to kind of go out there and show what they do and show their talent, go for it. Don't be afraid. Sometimes you get these people who try to stop you and say, hey, you know what I mean? It's probably not going to work out for you. You can't listen to that. You got to keep it going. Believe in what you believe in. If you have, if you believe in it, you do it, you go and you succeed. I did it. I came from a place where, not too many people make it out. So, I'm here. I got my family. Thank God. I help a lot of people out. And just hope people, I can help people do the same.
Sure. And you're blessing other people by your services, and I believe, as you've already talked about, you're being blessed in return for that. So, again, I thank you for being Lou, and I thank you for doing what you do. And I wish you the best of luck, and we'll have you come back again in the future just to talk about some of the other things you're working on.
Definitely. Sounds good.
Very good. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, Lou.
Great, brother.
Sure. Wow. Really very informative dialogue with Mr. Lou about his business. So please, if you're in the Allentown area and you need something detailed, something clean, something with water, Lou's the man, and you can roll back to see the contact information that was on the screen for him. So please utilize his services. And if you're not in the area, but you have something that you think he can do, I'm sure he'll travel and make it happen. But again, Nitsa cannot say enough good things about him as a business person, but also as a person in general. So again, I think when it's all said and done, that's the kind of stuff you want people to say about you, that you really did something that mattered, made the world and your life a better place. So I think that's what it's all about. All right, we're going to wrap up for today, the 12th of August of 2024, and we'll be back again in a week's time. Thanks so much.